Ever heard of Sidi Harazem? It's a small, quiet town just outside of Morocco, famous for its natural hot springs. People travel from all over, believing the waters have special healing powers. But if you talk to the locals, you'll hear a different story. One whispered in hushed tones after the sun goes down. They speak of a spirit, an ancient guardian of the springs, a jinn that protects the water. They call her Aisha Kandisha, a name that strikes fear into the hearts of those who know the legend. They say she punishes anyone who disrespects the sacred place or dares to take what is unfreely given. This is the story of Youssef El-Mazri, a young ambitious filmmaker from the bustling city of Casablanca. Back in the early 2000s, Youssef was fascinated by Morocco's rich tapestry of folklore and urban legends. He wanted to capture these stories, to bring them to a wider audience. And what better place to start than with the chilling tales of Sidi Harazem? So, he packed his gear, gathered his two best friends, Amir and Sophia, and set off on a road trip that was meant to be the start of his career. They were young, fearless, and a little bit reckless. The warnings from the villagers in Sidi Harazem sounded like something out of a storybook. Don't go near the springs after midnight, an old man told them, his eyes wide with genuine fear. Aisha Kandisha watches over the water. She doesn't like visitors in the dark. Youssef and his friends just smiled and nodded politely. To them it was perfect material for their documentary. The fear in the villagers' eyes, the cryptic warnings, it was exactly the kind of atmosphere they wanted to capture. They saw it as local superstition, a quaint part of the town's charm. They had no idea they were about to step into the very legend they were trying to document. That night, under a sky filled with a million stars, the trio made their way to the springs. The air was cool and carried the faint smell of sulfur from the thermal water. Steam rose from the pools, creating an eerie, almost magical haze that danced in the moonlight. They set up their cameras, tripods, and sound equipment, joking and laughing as they worked. Imagine if we actually caught something, Amir chuckled, adjusting a microphone near the water's edge. Sophia rolled her eyes. The only thing we'll catch is a cold if we stay out here all night. Youssef, focused and determined, just wanted to get the perfect shot of the steam rising under the night sky. The folklore was just the backstory. The real goal was cinematic beauty. They waited. The hours ticked by. Midnight came and went. The initial excitement started to fade, replaced by the quiet boredom of a long night shoot. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. The town was completely silent, and the only sounds were the gentle bubbling of the spring and the chirping of crickets. Just as they were about to pack it in, thinking the whole trip was a bust, the digital clock on Youssef's main camera flickered. It read 3:07 a.m. Suddenly, a strange static sound crackled through their headphones. It wasn't equipment malfunction, it was something else. A high-pitched whine that grew louder and louder. Then, they heard it. A sound that didn't belong. It was the sound of a woman crying. A heartbreaking sob that seemed to be coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. It echoed through the valley, chilling them to the bone. Amir ripped his headphones off. "Did you guys hear that?" he stammered, his face pale. Sophia, who had been dozing off, was now wide awake, her eyes darting nervously into the darkness beyond their lights. The crying seemed to get closer, and they realized with dawning horror that it was coming from the water itself, from beneath the surface of the spring. Youssef, ever the filmmaker, grabbed his camera and pointed it toward the main pool. He was scared, but the adrenaline and the possibility of capturing something truly inexplicable pushed him forward. Through the lens, he scanned the thick steam rising from the water. That's when he saw it, a figure, almost hidden in the vapor. It was a woman, or what looked like one, pale and shimmering. She was wearing a red shawl, the color of blood against her ghostly skin, and her eyes. Youssef would later describe them in a frantic, garbled voice note found on his phone. They were like burning coals, glowing with an ancient, malevolent fire. Panic erupted. Sophia screamed, "What is that, Youssef? What is that? Youssef, what is that?" The crying stopped, replaced by a low, guttural whisper that slithered through the air. It was a name. Amir. The voice was seductive, yet terrifying. Amir, who was closest to the water's edge, seemed to be in a trance. He took a step toward the spring, his eyes fixed on the figure in the steam. "Amir, no, get back," Youssef yelled, but it was too late. In a blink, something shot out from the water, dragging Amir in with a violent splash. He didn't even have time to scream. One moment he was there, the next he was gone. The water settled, disturbingly calm, as if nothing had happened. Sophia was hysterical, stumbling backward, trying to run. But the whisper started again, this time calling her name. Sophia. Her escape was cut short as an unseen force seemed to trip her, and she fell toward the spring. Youssef, frozen in terror, could only watch as she was pulled into the dark water, her desperate cries silenced in an instant. Now he was alone. The lights flickered and died, plunging him into near-total darkness, with only the moonlight and the glowing eyes from the water to see by. He knew he was next. The whisper came for him, his own name echoing in his ears. He scrambled to gather his main camera, his only thought to escape with the proof. The next morning, the local police were called to the scene. An elderly woman who lived nearby reported hearing screams in the middle of the night. At the springs, they found a scene of chaos. Tripods were overturned, equipment was scattered, and a single camera was left on the ground, its red recording light still blinking. There was no sign of Youssef, Amir, or Sophia. Their car was still parked nearby, their wallets and phones left behind. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. The investigators took the camera back to the station, hoping it held the key to the mystery. What they saw on that tape has never been officially released, becoming the stuff of local legend itself. The official report was vague, citing the poor quality of the footage and the chaotic nature of the events. But rumors spread like wildfire. People who claimed to know someone on the force described the final few minutes of the recording. It was mostly dark and shaky, filled with the sounds of Youssef's panicked breathing. The last clear shot was a reflection in the surface of the spring water. It showed Youssef's terrified face, but he wasn't alone. Reflected next to him was the ghostly figure of a woman in a red shawl, her arm wrapped around him, her burning eyes staring directly into the camera lens. And then, the camera falls. The screen goes black, and the recording ends. No trace of Youssef, Amir, or Sophia was ever found. Their families searched for years, but the case went cold. The official story is that they were 3 young people who tragically drowned, but the people of Sidi Harazem know the truth. They know that Aisha Kandisha claimed them. They say the spirit of the springs doesn't tolerate being mocked, and she doesn't like being filmed. To this day, visitors are warned to respect the waters and to leave before nightfall. Some who are brave or foolish enough to stay late claim to hear strange things, a woman's cry on the wind, or a soft whisper that sounds like it's coming from right behind you, or even from beneath the water itself, a voice calling your name. Thank you for joining me on this chilling journey into Moroccan folklore. The story of Sidi Harazem serves as a terrifying reminder that some legends might be more than just stories. What do you think happened to Youssef and his friends? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this dive into the unknown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the world's darkest corners. Stay safe, and whatever you do, be careful what legends you choose to chase.